Howdy. I'm going through a video today about how to make an old computer still very usable to use. It won't be like a super performer as like an i7 or something along those lines, but I'm just going to show you around what can you do to an old computer and what tasks can you perform, even though it might not have the horsepower as a modern computer and all that. This is also a video on how to make your XP computer more usable, and to even show you there is a way to still get support for Windows XP as well. There might be other videos that are already addressing this issue, but I'm going to address this issue as well in this video as well. Alrighty, so some of the things that you can do with an old computer is that you can use it as a secondary computer, like for example in your lounge room and all that, or when you want it in your bedroom and all that, if you only got like a desktop PC. Another thing is you can use it as a music player, like you listening to like your Spotify music player and all that. Another thing is like if you're like me who work on cars, you can have this like an old computer like hanging around in your garage when you want to tinkering around cars and use it to either read PDF like service manuals or researching things when you have a problem with your car and all that, and even give it to like a child or something like that who wants to learn how to use a computer, or you don't want to risk a child damaging your expensive PC or laptop or even tablet. So yeah, that's what you can do. Like another thing is you can also, with old computers, you can install Linux as well, but what many people find with Linux is very difficult to get good understanding with and all that. And also another problem with Linux is that I often have times finding with problems with software or drivers compatibility as well with my hardware as well. So that is some of the problems which I have with Linux. Like I don't have anything against Linux or anything along those lines. Like I love the Linux operating system for what it is. Like I do support it, but there are some issues with Linux that I do, mainly graphics wise and like multimedia wise, that I do face constantly, and that's why I'm using Windows XP for this example. Like I don't hate Linux. I'm not a Microsoft fanboy. I think all operating systems have their own place. I'm just using this as an example in my videos. Before you want to make sure your computer is still usable, make sure you're running like, I don't know, maybe for the CPU. Make sure what one I got here is if I go into CPU ID, CPU Z. Bear with me. Like I told you, this computer is not the fastest thing in the world, but it's still very usable. Make sure your PC has like 2 gigahertz CPU, or even like 1.5 should be plenty. With RAM, make sure if you got less than 512, I would not. That would be the first thing I would upgrade on your PC. If you can't upgrade to 512 megabytes, I will not. I'll probably just use your PC as a retro DOS machine, or even just if you can't use it as a DOS machine, but you can't upgrade to 512 megs of RAM, there's little hope that you can do with that computer in the modern day and age, unless you want to make a retro machine along those lines, as well as hard drive space. Like I'm only using a 40 gig hard drive in this computer as well, and yeah, that's all I'm really going into about the hard drive. So here's my CPU I'm using at the moment. It's this is a laptop what I'm using, by the way. It's an IBM A31P. This is an Intel Pentium 4 sorry, I'm not. It says 6.10, but it's really a 2 gigahertz CPU. You can tell this is an IBM mainboard, and the memory's got DDR 512 megabytes. So yeah, like even if you got PC 133, most computers in the year 2000s can upgrade to 512 megabytes of RAM, which should be enough to get you by. Alrighty, so there is a way, believe it or not, like even though Windows XP is out of support, there is a way to get like updates for it. How's that work? You might ask me. Well, there's embedded versions of Windows that were released like in the late 2000s, like POS Ready 2009, and there's a few other ones on top of my head. These are basically based on Windows XP, these embedded version of Windows, and they are still in support till April 2019. And what I've done is there's a little hack that you can create. If I go to, oops, sorry, wrong one. If I go into the XP reg file and go into edit, there's a bit of command that you can do. To make your computer think is a Windows embedded version, and you can still get updates for like security updates and all that as well. So I'll make the font bigger. So yeah, so you just type in Windows Registry Editor version 5.00 and then the HK local machine, blah blah blah, install and save that as an xp.reg, and then after that you can get updates for like your Windows XP machine as well. There's also another file as well I want to go into as well, like which I know exactly how it works, but I have noticed my PC goes faster as well, so about if I'm not prepared about it. But this is another file which I've created as well called a faster.bat file. It's just a bat file, and you just enter this command and it will get rid of like all some type of Windows files and all that, and your Windows performance will go up really high and all that as well. Sorry if I don't sound prepared, like, but yeah, you know, like this is my first video I'm doing, like using like screencast software and all that. So yeah, so if you insert these commands and save it up as a faster.bat file, that's what I've found out as well will make your older computer faster as well. Right, now if you go into your start run and type in msconfig, if you can see down there, msconfig, hit enter. Just bear with me. Sorry about me being a bit stupid here. Sorry, it's probably as well because of the screencast software as well. That's why the computer is being a bit slower as well, because mind you, this computer is from the year 2002, and like I'm still pretty happy with the performance as well. Considering it's a 12-year-old computer, come on, give it a break. So go into services, and like what I've done is disable all the services which I'm not using at the moment, like Bluetooth support service, like I don't use Bluetooth on it, like CCOM Plus, help and support, all that type of stuff. Like I would research it and all the services that you want to enable and you want to disable as well. Another thing is to start up, like all these little icons and all that, I've disabled to only show the ones that are really necessary to my needs as well and all that. So what I've done is just disable what I don't need, such as DT Lite, S Max, BT, or anything that you don't need, just disable it as well. So yeah. Okay, now I'm going to go into adjusting the visual effect. The reason why you want to do this is to minimize all the unnecessary like graphics, like icons, like images, and any other visual features that you might not necessarily need. So if you go to systems, like any of the really fancy stuff, and just stick to a generic plain user interface. That's what I'm going to do here as well. So, and go to advanced and then go to performance and click settings. What I've done is click adjust for best performance, and it will get rid of like all the smooth edges, like, and also when you slide the file, it will just come up for like it's just a dotted box, and along those lines as well. That's what I've done as well. I've also changed the theme to use a more basic appearance like theme, which is a VGA theme. I'd click the red, white, and blue, and also to reduce memory. Might not reduce a hell of a lot, but what I've done is just put a plain blue background as well. So yeah. And another thing before as well is to go to your start programs, accessories, and system tools, and perform a disk cleanup and also a disk defrag as well. Like disk clean will get rid of your unnecessary files and all your system files and recycling bin and all that, as well as like disk defrag will move all your data and all that into more of a, like more efficient in a more efficient block and all along those lines. And also I would also do a download the program CCleaner to clean also all your unnecessary registry errors, unnecessary files, and yeah. And also now we come onto like the programs that I'll use for the internet. Instead of using like Chrome and all that, I use a program called Pale Moon, which is like which is basically uses a Firefox background, but it's pretty much Firefox, but yeah, it's just more efficient to use and uses less memory. For audio, you can I'm using a program called Fubar 2000. Like if anyone knows, iTunes can be a real pain in the neck in terms of memory, especially if you only got like something like 512 megs of RAM. So yeah, like I'll just use a program called Fubar 2000, which is a very tiny music program. There's also Winamp as well, and there are so many others as well to use. If I click Start normally, this is how more and simple it is to use with Windows XP, and it uses very little memory as well. For antivirus. So just give that a bit. I'll talk about antivirus and all that until that comes up. With antivirus, I use Panther Cloud Antivirus. Free to get, very lightweight, doesn't use much RAM. Like I've tried Avast, which is my main favorite, and Panther Cloud uses less memory and all that. So yep, here we are. So yeah, there's all my music and all that. Like my music's all onto my FreeNAS server, but here's all my music and all that, and yeah. So it's a very small program, and I'm not going to play any music because of copyright issues, and yeah. For text documents and all that, and I'm use OpenOffice and all that, and for also for like PDF files and all that, instead of using Adobe Reader, I use a lightweight version called Foxset Reader. So yeah.